A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudannaika. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
Ask for Escalating Polygon by name.
A series of severe attacks reported in Iran in the past 24 hours. One of the world's largest aluminium smelters hit. War against Iran would be short-lived. America to withdraw soon, says U.S. Vice President. Protests continue in the U.S. against President Donald Trump. Energy crisis looms. India's gas shortage continues. Fuel prices rise again in South Korea. Public transport in 2 Australian states made free. IOC fuel shipment carrying 38,000 metric tons of diesel and petrol arrives in Sri Lanka. 10 more fuel shipments expected next month. President expresses gratitude to India for fuel support. Civil activists submit petition to Presidential Secretariat calling for cricket administration reforms. State of public emergency declared by the President extended by another month.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
Ask for Escalating Polygon by name.
Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf says his country's forces are waiting for American soldiers to enter on the ground so they can rain fire upon them. His comments follow the U.S. announcement about 3,500 personnel have arrived in the region with the warship USS Tripoli. As the U.S.-Israeli-Iran war continues to widen, we now take a closer look at the latest developments in this global conflict.
Washington Post reports that the Pentagon is preparing for weeks of ground operations in Iran, although it is not clear whether U.S. President Donald Trump will approve them. Iranian outlets, including the official IRNA news agency, have published a message from Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, marking 30 days since the start of the war. In the message, Ghalibaf said, quote, "The enemy signals negotiation in public, while in secret it plots a ground attack," end quote. Ghalibaf added that the Iranian forces are waiting for American soldiers to enter on the ground so they can rain fire upon them. His comments come after foreign media reports have surfaced that the Pentagon is preparing for weeks of ground operations in Iran. Separately, U.S. Central Command said yesterday that the warship USS Tripoli has arrived in the region. In a post on social media, it said the ship leads a unit of about 3,500 sailors and Marines, along with transport and strike fighter aircraft. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance stated that the United States has achieved the majority of its military objectives in Iran and emphasized that the conflict will be short-lived, with American forces set to withdraw soon. He also reassured that rising gas prices are only a temporary impact of the ongoing conflict.
Well, the president said, look, we've accomplished the gross majority of our military objectives. I think you can make a good argument we've accomplished all of our military objectives. The president's going to keep at it for a little while longer to ensure that once we leave, we don't have to do this again for a very, very long time. That was fundamentally the president's goal. He said, look, this country, they're threatening us in all these ways. They're still trying to build a nuclear weapon. We need to neuter them for a very, very long time, and that's the purpose. You're right. Gas prices have certainly gone up because of what's going on in the Middle East, but they're going to come down, right? This is a very, very temporary reaction to what is going to ultimately be a short-term conflict. I think the president's been very clear about this, that we're not interested in being in Iran a year down the road, 2 years down the road. We're taking care of business. We're going to be out of there soon, and gas prices are going to come back down.
Strikes on Gulf nations. Meanwhile, strikes continue across the Middle East, with Israel saying it has targeted the temporary command centers in Tehran. The last 24 hours have seen the region face repeated attacks, including on major infrastructure. Yesterday, the United Arab Emirates saw the highest number of ballistic missile attacks in weeks. Emirates Global Aluminium said its major plant in Abu Dhabi was hit and significantly damaged, with several employees injured. Aluminium Bahrain, one of the world's largest aluminium producers, was also attacked. In Kuwait, the radar system at the international airport has been extensively damaged. With their economies and way of life on the line, countries in the Gulf insist they must have a say in any future peace talks. The intervention of the Houthi rebels. The war has also spread further after Yemen's Houthis launched missile strikes towards Israel yesterday. If the Iran-backed group decides to attack ships in the Red Sea, it could add further disruption for shipping. The European Union's maritime security body warned ships to avoid entering Yemeni territorial waters, as the Iran-backed Houthis could resume quote-unquote attacks on merchant ships, particularly in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. The European Union Naval Force Absines mission added that the merchant ships linked to the US or Israel should avoid the Yemeni waters until the threat becomes less pressing. Attacks on Iran. Over the past 24 hours, US and Israeli forces have continued a heavy barrage of air and missile strikes across Iran, targeting military sites and strategic infrastructure as part of the ongoing conflict that began on the 28th of February 2026. International outlets noted repeated strikes on Iranian cities such as Tehran, Isfahan and Shiraz, with many areas reporting explosions and air raid alerts. Isfahan, a primary target due to its role in Iran's ballistic missile program, hosting production plants and research facilities, has been targeted several times. The Isfahan University of Technology and the University of Science and Technology in Tehran were also targeted, which Iran alleges is an attempt to damage its scientific foundations. In response, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has warned that American universities in the Middle East could be targeted in retaliation. Among these are Texas A&M University in Qatar and New York University in the United Arab Emirates. The Revolutionary Guard announced that to prevent such attacks, the US government must issue an official statement by 12 p.m. tomorrow. Furthermore, Iran has instructed staff, professors and students to evacuate these campuses immediately. In Tehran, military installations and infrastructure surrounding the capital have also been struck. The Karg Island was attacked by US forces, a site crucial for Iran's economy as most of its oil exports pass through it. Kermanshah, near the western border, an area that holds critical gun bases, was also subjected to strikes. Strikes have also been reported in Iranian cities such as Qom, Tabriz, Ilam, Karaj, Lorestan province, Zanjan, Urmia, Bushehr, Damavand and Shiraz. Protests in the US against Trump administration. Large protests against the Trump administration have taken place in cities across the US, marking the third iteration of No Kings rallies that have previously drawn crowds into the millions. Organizers say they are protesting against the policies imposed by US President Donald Trump, including the war in Iran, federal immigration enforcement, and the rising cost of living. Throughout the day yesterday, demonstrations took place in nearly every major US city, including New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, Boston, Nashville, and Houston. Crowds also gathered in smaller cities and towns across the country. Like in previous iterations of No Kings, protesters held up effigies of Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and other officials in the administration, calling for their ousting and arrest. In New York, America's most populous city, tens of thousands of demonstrators rallied, including Oscar-winning actor Robert De Niro, a frequent Trump critic who called the president, quote-unquote, an existential threat to our freedoms and security. Protests unfolded from Atlanta to San Diego, with Alaskans joining the mix later in the day. In the Michigan town of West Bloomfield, near Detroit, people braved below-freezing temperatures to protest. And in the U.S. capital, Washington, thousands of marchers, some carrying banners that blared, quote-unquote, Trump must go now, and fight fascism, flocked to the National Mall. Meanwhile, protests are also underway in several countries calling for an end to the war. In Tel Aviv, Israel, thousands gathered to demand an immediate halt to the conflict. Similarly, in Jerusalem, people took to the streets to voice their opposition to the war, participating in widespread demonstrations. Peace talks in Pakistan. Meanwhile, Pakistan's foreign ministry has confirmed that consultations among the foreign ministers of Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Egypt have kicked off in Islamabad. This comes as the four countries emerged as mediators between the United States and Iran. Momentum also built around a lengthy phone call between Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian as Islamabad prepared to host a four-country meeting, seen as central to the emerging peace initiative. According to officials, the call lasted about 90 minutes and was the Prime Minister's second conversation with Pezeshkian in 5 days, both of which focused on de-escalation and pathways to dialogue. Pakistan has stepped up diplomatic outreach, engaging Washington, Gulf capitals and other Muslim countries in an effort to create space for talks. Islamabad is set to host a meeting of the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Egypt alongside Pakistan. Meanwhile, Iran has agreed to allow 20 Pakistani-flagged vessels to transit the Strait of Hormuz in what Islamabad has called a meaningful step towards easing one of the worst energy crises in modern history. Ishaq Dar, Pakistan's foreign minister, announced the move yesterday, posting on X that 2 ships would cross daily under the arrangement. He described Iran's decision as a harbinger of peace, which could help restore stability to a region on the edge, hailing it as a welcome and constructive gesture. Notably, he addressed his post directly to U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Iranian Minister of Foreign Affairs Abbas Araghchi, a signal that Islamabad, which is engaged in diplomatic efforts to end the war, views the deal as far more than a bilateral shipping agreement.
1 month into the escalating conflicts in the Middle East, many nations across the globe are rapidly spiraling towards a severe energy crisis. It is particularly noteworthy that developing nations and developed economies alike are facing the brunt of this crisis with equal intensity.
Gas shortage in India. The ongoing gas shortage in India has pushed street food vendors and low-income earners into a severe crisis. The Times of India reported today that hotels and restaurants in Mussoorie, a famous tourist destination in Uttarakhand, are facing significant operational challenges due to this scarcity. Many establishment owners have been forced to pivot to electric induction stoves and traditional firewood for cooking. Foreign media outlets report that restaurants have restricted the preparation of gas-intensive dishes, with some even removing nearly half of the items from their menus. With the peak tourist season and the upcoming Chardham Yatra pilgrimage approaching, this gas shortage poses a dire threat to the regional economy. Recent reports from Indian media also indicate that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to hold a special discussion with state chief ministers to address India's energy security and maintain the integrity of the supply chain. Fuel prices soar in South Korea. In response to the prevailing fuel crisis, South Korea hiked wholesale fuel prices effective from the 27th of March onwards. The maximum price of gasoline has risen from 1,724 won to 1,934 won per litre, while diesel has increased from 1,713 won to 1,923 won per litre. Kerosene prices have also been risen significantly. Foreign media suggest that retail prices are expected to surpass the 2,000 won mark in line with these wholesale hikes. Furthermore, South Korea is preparing to impose strict limitations on vehicle usage. South Korean finance minister stated that the government plans to reduce the current 5-day public transport operations by 1 day. The government has also decided to escalate the national energy alert from level 2 to level 3. Egypt seeks solutions for rising energy costs. The Egyptian government has introduced several temporary measures to combat rising energy prices. Under these new regulations, all commercial and dining establishments must close by 9 p.m. every night for the next month. Efforts are also underway to reduce the brightness of streetlights and roadside billboards. Additionally, starting in April, a work-from-home system will be introduced for most employees 1 day a week. Fuel hikes impact Australian agriculture. The current surge in fuel prices has dealt a heavy blow to Australia's agricultural sector. Foreign media reports indicate that for Australian farmers who rely heavily on modern machinery, the daily operational cost has climbed to 1,500 Australian dollars. President of the National Farmers Federation warned that if farmers cannot secure the necessary diesel supplies, the entire food production process faces the risk of a total standstill.
An Indian ship carrying 38,000 metric tons of fuel docked at Colombo port today.
The fuel consignment of 38,000 metric tons of diesel and petrol was supplied by India following a recent phone call between President Anurakumar Dissanayake and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The ship carrying the fuel from Indian Oil Company arrived at Colombo port today.
We had requested our company, Indian Oil Corporation in India, to provide rescue supplies so that we can ensure fuel continuity in Sri Lanka. So, based on our response, then the operation started. And in the meanwhile, we also had discussion between His Excellency, President of Sri Lanka and the Honorable Prime Minister of India. In the meanwhile, we are also trying to get some supplies to our other terminal, which is at China Bay in Trincomalee. This month, we have already brought in some 7,000 MT of diesel there. And another parcel of petrol we are expecting by month end. And also, we have tied up a parcel which will come in the beginning of April at Trincomalee. So we are trying all our best to keep the supplies to Sri Lanka going.
Meanwhile, President Anurakumar Dissanayake, posting on X, thanked Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and India's Foreign Minister for the swift dispatch of a fuel tanker to Sri Lanka. In his post, the President noted that he had discussed Sri Lanka's fuel supply disruptions caused by conflicts in the Middle East with the Indian Prime Minister a few days ago and expressed gratitude for India's prompt assistance.
Protect our cricket.
Members of several social activist groups who collected signatures through an online petition to protect the country's cricket arrived at the Presidential Secretariat today for the second day, hoping to meet the President.
In recent days, the people of this country have expressed deep disappointment over the state of cricket. Years of corruption and mismanagement in the country have fueled widespread frustration. Against this backdrop, social activists have stepped up to rally against the state of cricket. Several youth groups launched an online petition as part of this effort. Recently, the activists went to the Presidential Secretariat to hand over the online petition but were unable to meet the President. Following an announcement made by a secretary to the President that if an opportunity arose today, a time could be given to meet the President. The group of social activists came to the Presidential Secretariat today as well.
There are over 10,000 signatures here. Now it's close to 16,000. It's 15,605. I'm saying 16,000 by tonight because it was 15,605 when I started printing. When I finished printing it, it had 15,800. Now I think it should have gone to 16,000. Go and search for SR Cricket Petition on Google. When you type SR Cricket Petition without any spaces, the petition comes up in the top 3. This is the first petition. Anyone can go to it and sign this petition. Everyone loves this game. Our country is known all over the world for this game of cricket. So we were given an appointment after a discussion with Nandika Sanath and a phone conversation. But unfortunately, the President has left for an urgent matter. But we are not ready to hand this over to anyone else. Especially the President should form a commission and take a decision on this. If he does not do so, you can see the protest grounds. We have come to that ground as well. It is not a new place for us. If everyone asks us to come to save this cricket, we will come. So if the President intervenes and gets down to this business, an ICC suspension will not come. We have also sent this to the email of the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, yesterday. So we have sent this everywhere we can. Even the international media asked me what this protest is.
These are the views expressed by another social activist.
Sri Lanka knows that love for cricket is like a religion. We are saying that we have no enmity with the cricket board here. It is because of corruption that people are reluctant. We are saying that Sri Lankan cricket should be protected and saved from corrupt rulers. We love cricket, and all the people of Sri Lanka love it. The last 10 years have been a complete failure. Therefore, there is no point in criticizing the players. We want the cricket board to change the entire system, and we have come to protect Sri Lankan cricket. We love it, and we will definitely do that with the people.
Venerable Kambudupitiya Ratnasirithera emphasized that this fight will continue until the corrupt cricket administrators are removed from their respective positions.
So we need to remind you in particular, we have come today too. We have not come for nothing. This is not just a signature sheet that 16,000 people have signed. We tell this government and the President that we trust only you. The President, Shammi Silva should also feel ashamed now. You can see there the golf is green, protest ground. Therefore, we remind you, gentlemen, do not take this lightly. We especially request the youth community, join us and continue to stand with us. That is why we will not give up this until Shammi Silva and this group are removed. The other thing, we need to meet with His Excellency the President in the future. We are not ready to hand these over to anyone. These are obtained with great difficulty and are not fake signatures. Therefore, we say it would be better to step down rather than continue in this situation. We do not expect Shammi Silva to remain in that position anymore. We will continue to work until these corrupt individuals are removed.
We have exposed numerous irregularities in the administration of cricket in this country over nearly a decade. Parliamentary committees along with the Chitra City Committee were appointed to manage Sri Lankan cricket through qualified professionals. Despite this, administrators acted only to protect their own power, letting the game fall to a low level. The fact that young people are now stepping up to protect the game the nation loves shows the severity of this situation. In a context where cricket has hit such a low point, shouldn't these administrators go home at least now?
News First with the people.
The state of public emergency declared by the President has been extended for another month. The Gazette notification was issued by the Secretary to the President, Dr. N.S. Kumanayaka.
Taking into account the disaster situation caused by Cyclone Ditwa and due to the ongoing state of public emergency in the country, measures have been taken to extend this emergency to ensure public safety, safeguard the survival of the nation, and maintain essential supplies and services for the public. Meanwhile, the Gazette notification has been extended, declaring that services provided by any state institution, government department, local government body, cooperative society or their branches are classified as essential services. Accordingly, the Gazette notification that classified services related to the supply of electricity, petroleum products, fuel distribution, including gas, health services, public transport, and numerous other services as essential, has been extended once more. The state of public emergency was first declared on the 29th of November to provide relief to the public from the disaster situation caused by Cyclone Ditwa. The President has assured that no action will be taken to violate the civil rights of the people under this emergency law.
Who is most suitable to lead opposition politics?
Former Minister Patali Champikaranaka said today that the country has ultimately borne the consequences of the mistakes made by previous governments that he was part of, and warned that the current government must not repeat such errors. He made these remarks at a seminar in Colombo.
The seminar, titled NPP Government's Coal Theft, organised by joint opposition activists, was held in Colombo today.
Remember, if the country's economic collapses, we won't be able to pay our debts, and the crisis could return next year. During our governments, serious mistakes were made, and the people had to bear the consequences. Now, we must build a future with capable young leaders and ensure experienced guidance is provided. If elections are held, a patriotic force committed to building this country must emerge. Isn't uniting what matters? They must be saying now all the thieves have joined together. If there are thieves, the police, the Attorney General and the courts will decide. Until then, stop making baseless claims and be fair.
Professor J.L. Piris expressed his views to the media following the seminar.
Everyone now understands the need to unite. Fragmentation will not succeed. On national issues, we must come together while respecting each group's identity, not in isolation. We can achieve our goals by pooling everyone's collective energy, developing a clear program and putting it into action.
Who is most suitable to lead opposition politics?
This is the Civil Intelligence Front's take on the opposition's response to international crises.
මාධ්‍ය හමුව ආරම්භ වීමට මත්තෙන් විනාඩියක පමණ නිශ්ශබ්දතාවයක් තියෙනවා. අපි මේ නිශ්ශබ්දතාවය තියන්නේ මේ සුන්බුන් විපක්ෂය තෙල් පෝලිං එයි කියලා බලන් හිටියා. ඇත්තටම තාමත් බලන් ඉන්නවා. මෙන්න මේ අය වෙනුවෙන් විනාඩියක නිශ්ශබ්දතාවයක් තියලා තමයි අද අපි මේ මාධ්‍ය හමුව ආරම්භ කරන්නේ. මාධ්‍යවේදීන් සීලම දෙනාට ස්තුතියි.
I would like to thank all the journalists present today. Through this minute of silence, we have addressed what many in the opposition have been anticipating over the recent period. However, those expectations have not materialized. Questions were asked. Where has the oil pipeline gone? Thanks to the President and the government, the situation was managed correctly. Today, fuel supplies are flowing adequately. A petrol ship has arrived, as has a diesel ship, with over 60,000 metric tons of both now available. While there are conflicts and major wars occurring elsewhere, and despite the challenges facing oil pipelines in India, Australia and the Philippines, Sri Lanka has successfully navigated this crisis. At a time when various nations were struggling to secure their fuel needs, Sri Lanka has resolved this problem effectively.
ලංකාවේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නය බොහොම හොඳින් විසඳලා තියෙනවා.
National organizer of the Sri Lanka Pojana Perumuna Namal Rajapaksa shared his views on the emergence of new leadership today.
If we are to nurture a younger generation and develop future leaders in this country, the presence of experienced senior leaders is essential. Ignoring that experience and resorting to condemning history only brings consequences for both the present and the future. Therefore, the priority should not be to condemn history. If there are shortcomings in the past, we must rectify them, modernize and move forward. All politicians must understand this reality and adapt themselves to suit the modern generation.
Is the opposition leader not fit to lead? Wattal electoral organizer of the Samaka Jana Balawegaya, Neomal Pera, says it's the media that's mocking Sajid.
Anyone likes to lead their own party, but there is only one opposition in the country. There is only one person who has done the work as an opposition leader. The things he said today, even though he stated the truth, are being ignored by this government. So he is being made a laughing stock by the media.
The Farmer Struggle Movement has criticized the current opposition for neglecting its responsibilities, claiming it is focused only on searching for new leaders through scattered discussions.
Instead of addressing the problems people face due to government policies and programs, the opposition is preoccupied with finding new leaders. Sajid Premadas is rallying support on one side, aiming for the next leadership, while Namal Rajapaksa is doing the same on the other. No one is focusing on the real issues people are facing. Instead, they are waiting for the fuel queues to grow, hoping to use the crisis for their own gain.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa warned that inflation in the country could rise unexpectedly as ongoing developments in the Middle East may disrupt the transportation of essential goods to the Asian region.
Houthi groups controlling the northwestern city of Sana'a in Yemen have recently joined the ongoing Middle East conflict and launched a new wave of attacks. This escalation has direct and significant implications for Sri Lanka. The primary concern is the Strait of Bab al-Mandab. Some may not be aware, but with the Houthis entering the conflict, this strategic waterway faces severe threats. This in turn has a direct impact on Sri Lanka's economy. Specifically, disruptions in shipping and the movement of goods through the strait, including essential resources, could cause serious economic consequences. One likely effect is an upward pressure on fuel prices, including diesel and petrol, potentially driving costs higher in Sri Lanka.
Diesel petrol මිල ඉහළ යෑමේ ප්‍රවණතාවයක් ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
The Democratic National Alliance responded to opposition leader Sajith Premadasa's statement today.
When there's a national crisis, the responsible leader should be offering real solutions. Instead, we see someone scrolling through the internet, sipping cappuccino with legs crossed, casually browsing CNN, BBC or Google, picking up random names and trying to analyze the situation by making up a story. Meanwhile, the country is trying to make serious decisions about how to move forward. And the opposition's role should be to provide guidance and answers. But what he seems focused on is showing off that he knows everything and that he has all the information. Then he goes to Parliament and says, I said this before. We had a plan like this. We don't need an opposition leader for that. We saw the opposition leader make comments on the ongoing global conflict. But what came across was more like a school student gathering information from the internet for a magazine article. We know this is the same leader who has often avoided taking responsibility during crisis in the country. During the 2021 crisis, for an example, he offered various excuses and neglected his duties, choosing instead to use the situation as a political tactic. What we are asking is this: in times of crisis, the country and its people must come first. We need leadership that prioritizes protecting lives, safeguarding the economy and making intelligent, well-thought-out decisions. Being an opposition leader is about offering meaningful alternatives and guidance, not running to the media with unnecessary comments that sound more like a villager sharing opinions than an opposition leader addressing serious issues.
Move forward, Sri Lanka. Sailor Enterprises presents Russell Peters returns to Colombo for the Relaxed World Tour, 31st March 2026 at the all-new Lumina Hall in the City of Dreams, powered by the Australian Migration Consultants. Tickets out now on bookmyshow.com.
Welcome back. You're with News First. Veritas Research says that the fiscal year 2025 has been an exceptional year for Sri Lanka in terms of government revenue, expenditure and debt.
According to Veritas Research, government revenue reached 16.75% of GDP in 2025, the highest level recorded since 2006. This surpassed the budgeted target of 15.3% and exceeded projected revenue estimates for the year. Government expenditure was recorded at 19% of GDP, well below the budgeted figure of 22%. As a result, the budget balance improved to a minus 2.3%, marking the lowest deficit since 1956. Veritas Research also noted that public debt fell from 106% of GDP in 2024 to 98% in 2025, representing another significant milestone. Overall, based on these fiscal indicators, Veritas Research has acknowledged that the 2025 fiscal year demonstrated exceptional performance.
The Ramayana Trail Cycle Tour kicked off today in Jaffna, covering 28 sites linked to the epic across Sri Lanka.
The Ramayana Trail Cycle Tour kicked off today in Jaffna. The trip aims to visit 28 places in Sri Lanka associated with Ramayana. A key feature of this tour is to showcase the cultural unity between Sri Lanka and India. The India leg, which began in Ayodhya, concluded at the Rama Setu in Dhanushkodi.
Today we started in Jaffna. We already visited the Jaffna Ramayana Trail. Then now we are arrived at Mulangaville area. Tomorrow we will go to Mannar. A lot of places in Sri Lanka related with the Ramayana Trail. More than 20 places, 28-30 places, more than 30 places we have to explore to the Ramayana Trail. A lot of foreign people also can come here and explore these places. Why we are choosing the bicycle travel? Because it's good for our health, physical health and mental health. And nowadays the economic crisis also, the petrol fuel crisis also we have for this Middle East war. So bicycle is the best solution for everything. So we are exploring that now.
Today's first day journey started in Nallur, Jaffna and ended this evening in Kilinochchi's Mulangaville.
The Prosperity Extravaganza united the community to support rescue animals in Sri Lanka and a vital animal welfare work.
The Prosperity Extravaganza was held today, bringing the community together to support rescue animals Sri Lanka. Organized to raise funds for street animals, shelter facilities and other welfare initiatives. The event combined shopping, entertainment and festive activities, highlighting the importance of animal welfare and community involvement. Proceeds from the event will directly contribute to strengthening RAS programs and initiatives for the care and protection of animals across the country.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.